Just imagine, you're alone in the Aussie bush, nothing but the sun's heat to keep you company, no shade in sight. You're sweating, dehydrated, got a headache. You've got nowhere to go. Yeah, that's pretty much me when filming these videos. Today I'm going to be building a little shade area so I have a little place to relax and sit out of the hot sunlight, especially because it is heading into summer and the heat is ramping up.
Alright, so first thing I'd like to address right now, it is hot. This is easily the hottest day in many months. And yeah, good brewing conditions for a storm. Fingers crossed we get actually, because that means water for our garden, which is actually starting to sprout, but more on that soon. Now, first of all, I'd like to address of what I'm actually doing in this episode. I gave you a little brief tease there in the intro. We're going to be building a more proper, I guess, shelter, shall we say, or not really a shelter, but just a little shade cover, somewhere I can sit down here and not be in the sun. That's what I'm doing, and this isn't going to be made out of natural materials as all. Now, I've liked the challenge of trying to use natural materials so far in this new encampment, but my brain ain't that big and I can only do it for so much. So today I'm just going back to the old school tarp type thing. I'm borrowing the roof of the lean-to from season 1 because I don't need it anymore, so I'm repurposing it for down here. So without further ado, let's just get into putting it up and then we'll check on our plans. Now essentially the plan here is it's big enough to cover this area, and I'm thinking we have a one end here, we have a one end here. Now, I've got a nail on this tree here. I'm not too sure why, but it's just here. I can't remember why I put it there. I really can't. This stick here, I think it's time for it to go. And now we can actually get to getting this up. Guess we can even reuse this nail. Gonna nail it in via the corners. That's one side. Wind's blowing it quite a bit. So that'll come out this way. I'll get a little something, we're going to tie it to the tree behind me. So we're going to have to put a little hole in here, which is easily done with a nail, and then it should just hold up on its own as a nice little piece of shade, hopefully, for this encampment area. Because I really need just somewhere to sit right now in the shade, and this would be a lifesaver. So if we can get it up like this, that should work. Now I'm just going to think about how I'm doing this. I'm thinking I might actually get 2 nails, put a rope on each end. That'll hold it up better than just one in the middle. Wind's picking up, could possibly see a storm later. Fingers crossed, as I said. But yeah, let's not waste any more time, let's actually get this done. Got ourselves some rope here. Of course, we've got our knife right here, just what we need. And just one little nail to finish things off and get this thing in. So I decided the knife will do just fine to make ourselves a little hole. Just don't want to tear it too much. Okay, yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Alright, that should do it. We've got ourselves a little hole there. Gotta be careful we don't pull it too much, it will tear otherwise. I reckon that should do it. Alright, next hole is in. Let's get the rope. Alright, so we're going to tie this through here. Oh no, I failed that knot. Some tripping all over it. It's getting everywhere. Alright, we'll tie this through. There we go. Alright, this is going to have to be the best I can work with here. Alright, there we go. Alas, through the heat I persisted, constructing myself a little shade area to hide away from the sun. There was a little bit of a tear when I was trying to set up the rope, but overall it was successful, and I now had a nice little shady area to sit. So this was an overall just big win. Alright, so it's over here, the shade's over here, and it definitely works because, you know, even though it's up here, it's still giving us shade here. So we still have somewhere to sit in the shade. Overall, it's not the best, but it's functional, and honestly, that's really all I require. And all I care about. So yeah, it is functional and it does work for what I want to do, and I can sit here and enjoy a nice drink while I wait and just take breaks in between doing other stuff around the encampment. So overall, I'd say this is a good new addition. Now I'd like to think I've earned myself a nice break of water after that, because it is very hot out. I'm sweating, and honestly I haven't really done much, but I'm still sweating. Oh, honestly, water just never feels as good as when you're hot, sweaty, on the verge of being dehydrated, and you just take that first cold sip while sitting in the hot sun. Just had some grass in my mouth. But yeah, water just, you can't beat water. It always tastes best when you need it most. That's good. Now I feel it's time we finally come over to the garden, as I said. Check it out and see what's going. Now obviously our newest garden that we planted has got nothing going for it yet. No new plants, because I only planted that yesterday. So, or when I say yesterday, last episode. It's been only a day since the last one. Who knows when this one comes out from the other one. But yeah, there's nothing new there, obviously, because that needs to be probably given like a week or something. But as for our other garden bed, we're actually starting to see some progress, and I think the tomatoes are starting to sprout. So yeah, we're starting to actually see some good progress, as we can see these little sprouts popping up here. So that means our garden is actually working, and we are taking good care of it, which is, you know, always good news, especially in this heat, and it's only going to get harder as summer rolls around. But the fact that we've made a good start, at least, that's pretty good, and I like that. So we've got something going for us at the very least. Our tire garden here doesn't seem to be showing signs of a whole much going on, and honestly I don't think that's going to change. I reckon that this one here is probably going to be a dud, and that's okay. It all just comes down to, I think, the soil I used. At the end of the day, I have a better understanding now of what's going to work, what's not going to work, in terms of where I get my soil down here. So yeah, hopefully we can see over the next week and episodes some, I guess, some improvements and some growth in these plants, and we'll just monitor how they are through the episodes. So yeah, we'll keep up with that, and yeah, we're making good progress. Alright, and now it's time for a little announcement. Now, I know I said the structure I set up today would be my last one. It's not. There's going to be one more. And I spent a bit of money on this one, actually, to get a brand new tarp
which is the exact same as the blue ones I get in Season 1. I've done a bit of trial and error with what works and doesn't work for me in terms of bush building, and I'm kind of just returning to my roots now of the tarps, because that is my best bet when it comes to bush building. So that's what I'm returning to for this final little structure. Thought that'd be a good bit of fun, and I basically want to put it somewhere in the shade here, a little bit of a different area in this pine foresty area, which is right next to our camp. It's not that far away or anything, it's literally right next to it. So a little bit of a different spot, but I think it can mix things up a bit, and it'll just be a nice little, you know, something else into this encampment to make it seem like there's a bit more here than there really is. So my biggest issue with this encampment is it just doesn't feel like there's much here for it to be considered finished, but the problem is there isn't much more to add. And I guess when you're just building out of the natural resources in the Aussie bush, that is what it kind of comes down to, and what I'm probably going to have to accept with this series. It's not going to look like there's much here, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean I'm going to do not going to do a few smaller things before we finish up this series, of course. So do stay tuned. But let's go revisit the TP from episode 2 quickly, because there is a little something I want to do with the flooring in there, just so it's, you can at least sit in it, because at the moment it's just kind of there with no purpose whatsoever. And before we end this series, I do want to give each kind of structure a bit of a purpose. We've got our garden one, of course, and we've got our little shade area. And then the teepee, it's just kind of there for looks. I want a bit more than that. And then this final structure I'm going to do, not too sure what I'm going to have there. It might just be a little seating area at most to sit out of the sun. So I think that'll work, and let's just get to it. And now it was time to set out back to the Season 1 encampment to grab myself a little something for the teepee. And there you have it. This area already feels more inviting, and it's actually surprisingly cozy. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I do quite like this. This is only a small little improvement, but it does go a long way, and honestly I'm really glad I've done it, because this is 10 times cozier. So yeah, I like this. Now let's do one last thing before we get on to Jeffrey the tree and have another go at trying to free him today. These have been bugging me quite a while, so they get me every time I walk through this area. So, good riddance. All I've got to say is thank goodness Jeffrey is in the shade right now, because I don't think I'd be able to get far at all if he was in the sun, because I'm sweating and I'm in desperate need of a break. The heat, you really don't have to do anything in Australia, and the heat just, it gets you. You could be sitting there doing nothing and it will get you, and you just, it's hard to take on, but it gives everything a challenge, and that's what we're here for. So let's get hacking away. Oh, we did a bit more axing. Let's see what happens if I try push Jeffrey now. Still seems we're going to split this man in half. We've got a long way to go.
But of course, this will have to continue in another episode.
Another day, another episode complete. Work on Jeffrey had been made, and I was one step closer to finishing this encampment. Progress was going pretty solid. But that pretty much marks the end for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.